Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Today we're going to talk about Luffy's eyes now that he's become Joy Boy. Throughout the story of One Piece, there have been a few characters with eyes that had different designs, where it may not represent a special power, but recently there's been a very interesting possibility that has arisen with the appearance of this new transformation of Luffy. At the end of chapter 1044, we see that Luffy has a very different look than his usual. He shows a very kind of terrifying and even threatening look, even while doing so and having a huge smile. So far in One Piece, there have been 3 other characters that have been shown to possess a similar look to their eyes in terms of the ringed kind of thing we see going on in Luffy's eyes right now. And it may be connected and represent to something very important that hasn't been yet revealed in One Piece. In today's video, we're going to talk about the eyes that may hold a great hidden secret, what these relationships to the characters may have, and the possibility that in the future this may be shown as part of Luffy's destiny. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make new content, and if you'd like to help out the channel even more, consider sharing our video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So to begin our story, in One Piece there are many different designs and styles to represent the eyes of the characters, but there are a few of the characters that have unique eyes that differentiate them from all the other characters we've seen throughout our story. Now in some cases these eyes may be because of their powers, or in other cases this may be connected to a character's history, and this is the reason for today's video. After all, we've seen that Luffy now has a very different look in his Zoan transformation, but it's not unique in the history of One Piece. So far, only 3 characters have been shown with a similar look in the shape of their eyes like Luffy's, being Mihawk, Imsama, and Zunisha. And this similarity between the eyes of these characters can make them look special and may even create some connection with the Void Century, especially Luffy now that he's become Joy Boy, and this may reach back and have a connection with Imsama and Zunisha. You see, these 3 characters are quite different in personalities, goals, and even species. But even so, they may possess something very important that will be revealed in the future of the manga. Starting with Zunisha, who's a huge elephant that was a close friend of Joy Boy's over 800 years ago. Zunisha's eyes have a very similar shape to Imsama's, as well as Luffy's after he awakened. The only thing that differs is the green coloration of Zunisha's eyes. Now this could mean that Zunisha may also possess an ability like Luffy's, or have some ability to see over a long distance, because these eyes may be special and may actually represent something from the past. Now even though Zunisha has this shape eye, Zunisha seems to keep it hidden most of the time, and it's not really known why he does this. Or perhaps maybe it was Oda trying to hide Zunisha's eyes, or the fact that they were similar to Imsama's eyes, because this might be a very important link in the story. After all, hiding his eyes may actually show us that he's hiding a secret that will be important, especially now that we've seen Luffy's new look. Because if you think about it, Zunisha must have some knowledge about the events of the past, and was the first character to notice the awakening of Luffy, or rather Joy Boy, and to have gone to Wano because of this awakening. Zunisha may in fact possess knowledge about the importance of his eye, and after all, he may have been Joy Boy's companion, and because of all of the events that he knew about during the past, he may have kept his eyes hidden in a way to protect himself from Imsama. So Zunisha would have kept his eyes hidden so that no one would know about his connection with the Void Century, or even Joy Boy for that matter. Because if the world government had known about this connection with Joy Boy, Zunisha would definitely become a target. For many years, in fact what could be hundreds of years, the Great Elven Zunisha has been walking around the New World carrying the island of Zo on his back. And we now know that he has arrived in Wano because of something that may have happened in the past, or he may have been called there because of the awakening of Joy Boy. With Luffy's Fruit's awakening, and the real name of it revealed, Zunisha has now said that Joy Boy has awakened, which made him go to Wano because of the drums of liberation that he heard before everyone else. Now so far we haven't seen Zunisha's eyes again, but we have seen Luffy's eyes. So this could mean that in the next few chapters, we will have a revelation about this eye when he meets Luffy, or we should say Joy Boy. So we'll have a little bit more information about the secret that these eyes may possess. Because since Luffy has managed to become Joy Boy, we really don't know what exactly this means, but it could be that Zunisha has become an ally of Luffy and will reveal to him the secrets of the Void Century. After all, Zunisha could have been waiting for this very moment, and through this connection, or something we might even call a reunion, we might get revelations about the past through the Voice of All Things, which is a power that both Momonosuke and Luffy possess, and this gives them the ability to understand Zunisha as well as other creatures. During this revelation, it could be revealed why Luffy, with the Joy Boy transformation, Zunisha, and Imsama all have this unique pattern in their eyes, and if he really has some special power or connection to the events of the Void Century. And this would give us a much better understanding about the overall connection between the the three. For it seems that Zunisha doesn't mind carrying a civilization on their back, and possibly it's part of his mission, but he also shows a great connection to the Minks, for they have literally become practically a part of him, or even like an extended family. Now thinking back to the Zou arc, Zunisha even warned Luffy and Momonosuke that they needed to defeat Kaido's pirates, otherwise Zunisha might have knocked Zou off their back, which would take the lives of many of the residents that lived up there. Now this demonstrates that Zunisha does have a welcoming personality, and that the Great Elven cares about the people close to him, but it also shows that Zunisha prioritizes this first and foremost mission that he had received so long ago. Now we still don't know what Imsama's face looks like, because all we've really seen is a silhouette of this mysterious character, but we have seen that his eyes are very similar to Zunisha's, because what we do see is the shape, the ring, it's nearly the same, and it could indicate that there is some relationship between them. And this would make sense, especially if Imsama and Zunisha and Joy Boy all come from the Void Century, or at least perhaps the fact that Imsama may have returned through a devil fruit just like Joy Boy did. Now we know next to nothing about Imsama's personality, but he does seem to be calm and gentle, as we saw when he was dealing with the butterflies in the flower room, and there does seem to be a considerable peaceful energy initially, but we see this energy change almost immediately when we see that he used a blade to cut and pierce the wanted posters, and at the end of his appearance, it seems that he even had a menacing look when revealing his eyes. It even seems that Imsama has a particular interest in Luffy and Teach, two pirates that both have the initial D in their name, and now seem to possess unique devil fruit powers. After all, Luffy possesses the Sun God fruit, and Teach possesses more than one devil fruit. Imsama also showed interest in Shirahoshi and Nefertari Vivi. The reason hasn't been revealed so far, but it could indicate that he is looking for something. We know that Shirahoshi and Vivi are princesses that descended from very important people in the Void Century, and since Shirahoshi is Poseidon and possesses the powers to command the Sea Kings, we know that this may have been also a connection to Joy Boy, since the previous queen who possessed the power was in fact a friend of Joy Boy's. Vivi, on the other hand, comes from a family that was once part of the kingdoms that united to defeat the ancient kingdom and united to form the ancient government. But her family did not want to leave the island and become celestial dragons. And we also know that Alabasta is seemingly the place where Pluton was buried, another one of the ancient weapons. However, Imsama's motives for taking an interest in them now, after hundreds of years, remains unknown. But many people assume that it could be because he sees them as both possible threats, since Shirahoshi has a ton of power to command the Sea Kings and is destined to help Joy Boy, and Vivi's family is also considered a family of traitors for not going to marry Joie. As I mentioned before, Imsama kept posters or pictures of all four in the throne room. Luffy's and Teach's posters are separate, and Shirahoshi's picture has a dagger stuck to the floor, showing that maybe that one could be Imsama's next target, while Vivi's picture is the only one that is undamaged, and this is possibly because of the kingdoms that had allied with him in the past. Even so, everything indicates that Imsama seems to have a great connection to the past, not only knowing about what happened during the Void Century, but also having the possibility having lived in that period or even directed some of the events. This may also mean that Imsama may have already met or even have a connection to the former Joy Boy, and also Zunisha, especially when we think about Imsama's greatest treasure, a giant straw hat. We know that Joy Boy, when mentioned in the past, was described as being a big person, and this could also be referring to Joy Boy's height. After all, we just saw that Luffy became a giant, so Joy Boy could have remained in giant form, and that he wore that hat in the past while standing next to Zunisha and possibly Imsama. So in this way, the eyes of Luffy, Imsama, and Zunisha may have this connection. But it's also worth remembering that Mihawk also has these eyes, which could change the course of this possibility. After all, he doesn't seem to have any connection with the events of the Void Century, nor with the three characters of Zunisha, Joy Boy, and Imsama. The only possibility that could connect the two would be the possibility that Zunisha, Joy Boy, Imsama, and Mihawk's ancestors lived in a similar place in the past, and perhaps even the ancient kingdom. But in this case, it also is a distant possibility of the people from the ancient kingdom were the first to receive the initial D. After all, no D other than Luffy has those eyes. Now, even with the consideration of Mihawk's eyes, we've also seen characters like Cavendish and even Big Mom in some scenes have an eye that's similar, but it could be just a coincidence and has really nothing to do with Imsama, Joy Boy, Luffy, and Zunisha. So the eye shape could have been some kind of plot device, while Mihawk's eyes was just a way to describe or illustrate his title of being the greatest swordsman in the world. Therefore, it would be practically impossible that he has any real relationship with Imsama or even Zunisha, since they may have never even seen each other or crossed paths in the world of One Piece. But with this eye structure, it could create the possibility that Imsama, Joy Boy, and Zunisha all lived through the Void Century together, and maybe even both Joy Boy and Imsama are actually people with the initial D in their name. And not only that, but perhaps Imsama may have awakened a fruit that brought him back. just like Luffy, who upon awakening seems to have brought Joy Boy's will back into the world. So we might have a reunion after centuries, something that Imsama may has feared throughout this entire time. But for now, we'd like to know what you think about it. Do you think this eye indicates a great connection between the three? How do you think also Mihawk plays into this? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we close out our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video till the very end. Make sure you comment any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you've made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.